I have to admit that I bought the Apple Watch Ultra for all the wrong reasons. If you look at Apple's marketing, they showcased extreme explorers who have crossed some of the harshest environments that the Earth has to offer. They showed accomplished divers and expedition leaders, an ultramarathon runner, and while I am, believe it or not, a pretty good athlete, I'm not the most adventurous person that you're ever gonna meet. But I had very specific reasons for getting the Apple Watch Ultra, and one thing that was kind of disappointing. So the number one reason I got this watch is battery life. I've had almost every iteration of the Apple Watch, including the Series 8, and I've always complained about battery life. For me, 18 hours like what you get with the Series 8 just doesn't work. And it's not because I don't get a chance to charge it, it's just that I don't think about charging my watch during the day, and then if I want to do it at night, then I lose sleep tracking. The Apple Watch Ultra is rated for 36 hours and then 60 hours if you put it in a low power setting. Now I've easily gone more than 2 days without charging it, even without going into low power mode. So that includes things like workouts, sleep tracking, accepting calls when I'm not by my phone, sending messages, controlling media on my phone, navigation when I'm driving, all those types of things. And I was easily able to go into a third day without a charge. So for me, only having to charge this watch every 3 days instead of every day makes it a practical smartwatch that I actually wear rather than something that I want to wear but I end up just leaving on the charger. And speaking of that, charging is done through a magnetic fast charging USB-C cable and takes about an hour and a half if you actually let the battery go down to zero. Now, the second reason I had for getting the Apple Watch Ultra is aesthetics. Like, I just love how it looks. I know it's a personal preference, but I like that it's bigger and bulkier. I like the more pronounced buttons and dials. I love the orange accents on the dial and on the action button, and I'm kind of bummed that by the time I got around to ordering it, it was too late to get the orange Alpine band. I do like the green one that I got more than I thought I would, but I love the orange and I would even want the Starlight one because it's more neutral and it goes with everything. In any case, at this point, I can't see myself spending another $100 on another Alpine loop, and I'll be checking out some aftermarket options, and if you've seen one that you like, let me know in the comment section. The one thing that really surprised me about this watch is the weight, because I was expecting it to be much heavier because of how big it is, but it's actually kind of light. It only comes in this one color, which personally I really like, but if you're someone who wants a darker watch, then there's no luck this year. Now, another improvement Apple made with the new design of the Ultra is the addition of an action button. Now, you can program it to start workout app, the stopwatch, set waypoint, backtrack, dive, activate the flashlight, or run a shortcut. So all in all, it's a super helpful feature. It's one that I actually use every day, and I imagine that we'll see it trickle down to the other Apple Watch models at some point. Now, another super important upgrade, at least for me, is how rugged Apple made this watch. And while I might not be climbing a mountain, I'm not the most careful person with my tech, and I easily get distracted. So it's very possible that I'll just whack it against a door handle when I'm walking around, or that something will hit it when I'm playing around with the dogs. I like the new titanium case and the ceramic back. I like the flat sapphire crystal display and the fact that the case has a small lip for protection, unlike the rounded edges with the Series 8 and the SE. And this past weekend, I was helping a friend move a stacked washer-dryer combo. That was super fun, by the way. And I got my wrist wedged against the door frame with this watch on. So I kind of freaked out, but I checked it out after we were done. Not a scratch on it, and more than anything, I just like having that peace of mind. Now, the display was actually not a huge deciding factor for me when I was looking at this watch, but now that I have it, it actually does make a big difference. It's not really the additional size, although that is noticeable, it's more the brightness. So we're looking at 2,000 nits versus 1,000 on the Series 8 or the SE, and if you've had an Apple Watch before, you'll immediately notice this the first time you take it outside. Like, there's no more checking to make sure that the brightness is all the way up, or you don't have to like cover it in order to make the display stand out. This display is bright, it's crisp, and the fact that it's a bit larger than the other models definitely doesn't hurt. Now, the one disappointment that I've had so far is the watch faces. So yes, there are some new ones, and I like the Wayfinder one the best, but especially because of the shape of this watch. Like, I just wish that there were more options, like maybe some vintage options or like super high tech ones. Not really sure. I know that there are some paid apps in the App Store that give you access to a lot of different faces, but I haven't really been blown away by any of those. And I also wish that I could just pay for the watch face that I like rather than have to pay a monthly fee. So in any case, if you find a watch face that you like, please tweet at me at Tech Gear Talk. Okay, so before we get to whether this price actually makes sense, there are a few other features that are worth mentioning, starting with the speakers and the 3 microphone array. I have to say that they are shockingly good. I mean, they're not like surround sound and studio microphone good, but they do such a good job at filtering out noise. And I've had calls with people where halfway through the call, I would tell them that I'm talking to them on the watch, and they had no idea. Back to the features, on top of the ECG, blood oxygen, and heart health notifications, we're also getting a new temperature sensor. We have fall and crash detection, as well as emergency SOS service. There's also a more reliable and accurate dual frequency GPS, so you'll get better results if you're in a forest or in a large city with some huge skyscrapers. Now, Apple also incorporated a built-in 86 decibel siren that can emit a sound pattern that Apple says can be heard for up to 600 feet or 180 meters. And I can confirm that it's super loud. And the new Compass app is actually pretty cool, and you can set waypoints that you can use for navigation in case you get lost. And of course, I'm not going to go into details about the new diving features or the new diving app that's coming, because those are not things that I'm personally going to be testing. But now I want to talk about the price, because in the US, the Apple Watch Ultra sells for $799, whether you get it with the Alpine Band, the Ocean Band, or the Trail Loop. And currently, it's only offered in a titanium case. So clearly it's not a cheap option, and if budget is your primary concern, but you still want the most recent features in an Apple Watch, you should check out the Series 8 or the new Apple Watch SE. I also know that prices all over the world are very different than in the US, so if you live outside of the US, let me know where you live and how much the Apple Watch Ultra costs there. Now, I paid full price for mine. It wasn't sent to me, and I've been thinking about whether I would have still bought it if I didn't have this channel. And I realize that it's a tricky question. Like, I don't need the internationally recognized standard for dive computers and gauges. I don't really need the 100 meter of water resistance versus 50 on the Series 8. And I'm essentially paying for some features that I won't be using. But the reason why this watch still makes sense for me is practicality. Now, let's be fair here. All I needed was to tell the time, then this watch is way less practical than a regular watch in terms of charging. If I wanted a workout or activity specific watch that I only use when I'm participating in those activities, then there are a ton of options. But if I want smart features that seamlessly integrate with the rest of the Apple ecosystem, I want a watch that tracks my fitness goals, communicates with my bike, tracks my sleep, has cellular service, and all the other features that an Apple Series 8 offers, then it comes down to, is the Ultra worth the extra $270 over the $529 45mm Series 8 with cellular? And for me, the answer is yes, because I actually wear it. With every other Apple Watch so far, I go days, if not weeks, without putting it on because daily charging makes it a piece of tech that isn't a great fit for me. Now, clearly, lots of people have an Apple Watch and they use it without any issues. But for me, the longer battery life, the larger and brighter display, the additional protection, and the new look that personally I like much better than the Series 8 make the Ultra an Apple Watch that I actually want to wear for all the wrong reasons. Now you should see whether the average user should consider the iPhone 14 Pro instead of the regular iPhone 14. Click on my face to subscribe. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.